Melania Trump is known for dramatic fashion, bold colors, sky-high heels, and luxury labels.
Every day something new.
However, every now and then, Melania surprises everyone with looks so plain they get people talking just as much. And yes, she's had more than a few of those moments. Let's go back to 2003, when Melania was not yet married to Donald Trump. She showed up at New York Fashion Week in a white button-down tucked into a black skirt with a slit, paired with black heels. On paper, it sounds sleek, but for Fashion Week, it was underwhelming. Honestly, Melania looked less like a guest and more like someone working the event. Fast forward to 2009 at a fashion show at Bryant Park, New York. Melania went with what should have been a failsafe, the classic little black dress. But instead of a showstopper, her sleeveless sheath with the high neckline fell flat. No bold accessories, no standout details, just a plain black clutch. Honestly, it looked less runway ready and more like something you'd see at an office holiday party. Now jump ahead to 2017, right before Donald Trump's inauguration. At the Lincoln Memorial, Melania showed up in a black skirt suit with black gloves and black heels. Yes, she smiled for the cameras, but her outfit gave the exact opposite vibe. It looked somber, almost like she was heading to a memorial service rather than a celebration.
Would you be a good first lady, do you think? Yes, of course.
And then came the inaugural ball. Big moment, new role as First Lady, all eyes on her. What did she wear? A cream off-the-shoulder gown by designer Hervé Pierre. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't the wow people were expecting either. Melania herself later admitted the dress was put together in just 2 weeks. So maybe that explains why it felt more rushed than regal.
We do have a mannequin for the First Lady, of course, but I won't show it to you. That's really like the naked body, you know, there is no...
The same year, Melania made headlines for her choice of hurricane heels when she boarded Air Force One to visit Texas after Hurricane Harvey. The sky-high stilettos were instantly called impractical for the occasion, and that's really all people could talk about.
Thank you, Melania. She's doing great. She went through a little rough patch, but she's doing great.
Also in 2017 at the Invictus Games in Toronto, Melania sat next to Prince Harry in a gray houndstooth pantsuit that felt surprisingly flat. And seriously, these pants? The wide, cropped style chopped her legs like she borrowed them from a circus costume. By 2018, on a state visit to the UK, she doubled down on that blend-in approach. Wearing a cream coat buttoned to the top with a plain black belt, Melania looked more like she was trying to disappear than make a statement. Even events that begged for a little sparkle didn't get it. For the 2020 SpaceX launch, a historic moment, Melania wore a conservative blue and black sleeveless dress that was fine. But fine isn't memorable. Her sunglasses clashed with the style, making the whole thing look mismatched.
The fashion industry, it's glamorous, but it's at the same time very tough.
A few months later, at a White House event tied to her Be Best campaign, Melania wore a plain white sheath dress. So simple that the only explanation might be that she wanted the focus entirely on the cause. The pattern kept going through 2020. At Trump's final presidential debate, Melania wore a head-to-toe black look that gave off more funeral than campaign rally. In a month, at the Thanksgiving turkey pardon, she sported a Dolce & Gabbana coat and designer heels. But even luxury labels couldn't save the outfit from looking dull. And she didn't stop there. In 2021 at the World Series, Melania chose a beige trench coat buttoned up so tightly it looked stiff and businesslike. A scarf, a pop of color, even a pair of standout shoes could have helped. But she kept it all muted. By the time we get into Melania Trump's later years as First Lady, the shift in her wardrobe is hard to ignore. Gone were the days of striking capes and jewel-toned gowns. Instead, she leaned almost exclusively into muted neutrals, gray suits, and trench coats. Outfits that looked more about blending in than standing out.
I feel very comfortable with myself and with my body.
Take November 2022, for example. After casting her vote in Palm Beach, Melania walked out of the polling station in an austere gray and black Alexander McQueen dress. And let's be honest, When you hear Alexander McQueen, you expect something daring, something that makes a statement. But here, the look was about as memorable as a corporate office dress code. Fast forward to November 2024, when she cast her vote again in Florida. This time, Melania went for a black jacquard shirt dress by Dior, paired with black heels and her trademark sunglasses. A polished look, yes, but not new. She'd actually worn the dress before. Re-wearing an outfit isn't unusual, but the choice was telling. Melania seemed to be signaling that if Donald Trump returned to the White House, she'd adopt the image of a traditional First Lady. Conservative, serious, and not competing for attention.
I think nothing prepared me more to be First Lady in front of the world than the fashion industry.
The very next day, at a campaign rally in West Palm Beach, she doubled down on that message with a gray Dior skirt suit. Once again, it was sleek, tailored, and expensive, but it lacked personality. And here's a little point worth noting. American First Ladies are typically expected to support American designers. Melania, she kept turning to her favorite European luxury houses, making her wardrobe both understated and slightly controversial.
It's unpleasant, but I know I can handle it.
Then came the second inauguration. Remember her first back in 2017 when she channeled Jackie Kennedy in that powder blue ensemble? This time, she went in the opposite direction. A navy coat, a plain white scarf, and a wide-brimmed hat with one simple ribbon. The all-dark look even sparked comparisons to the Hamburglar. And honestly, it's hard to argue with that.
I'm going to get hell when I say this, but her feet are absolutely aching. You know, those heels.
By early 2025, Melania's looks became even more toned down. On January 24th, leaving the White House for a trip to North Carolina and California, Melania wore an army green puffer jacket, black skinny jeans, and a beanie. Yes, you heard that right, a beanie. For someone who once made headlines for stilettos on the tarmac, this casual, dreary look felt oddly uncharacteristic, like she was aiming for undercover First Lady. March 2025 brought more of the same. For Donald Trump's address to Congress, Melania wore yet another gray Dior outfit, a belted jacket, skirt, and scarf. Professional, yes. Exciting? Not in the slightest. And then Easter rolled around, a holiday famous for pastels and cheerful colors. Did Melania join in on the fun? Nope. She wore a beige trench coat that blended into the White House lawn while Donald stood beside her in a bright tie. If Easter fashion is about springtime joy, Melania clearly missed the memo. A month later, on the way to Rome for Pope Francis's funeral, Melania returned to her trusty trench coat, this time Dolce & Gabbana, cinched tightly at the waist. But instead of heels, she wore simple black flats. Flats! For Melania, who practically turned stilettos into her signature, it was a surprising departure. By May, at a White House celebration for military mothers, she kept things stripped back with a white blazer and black skirt. And later that month, at a Rose Garden bill signing, Melania repeated the formula with another gray skirt suit, this time Prada. The tailoring was nice, but again, it was so forgettable you could almost blink and miss it. Even at high-profile events like the opening of Les Miserables at the Kennedy Center, she didn't reach for glam. Instead, Melania chose a long, sleeveless black dress paired with silver heels. Pretty, but plain, and certainly not the bold statement you might expect at a Broadway premiere. And for the U.S. Army's 251st anniversary parade in June 2025, the First Lady wore an ivory and navy pinstripe skirt suit by American designer Adam Lippes. Finally, an American label, but still the effect was more corporate chic than celebration. Later in September, she stayed true to beige mediocrity. At a White House task force meeting on artificial intelligence education, Melania arrived in a pinstripe pantsuit by Max Mara. Polished and professional, yet painfully safe. Looking back at all these outfits, it's clear Melania's style has shifted toward a more understated vibe. But what do you think? Has her wardrobe become boring, or do you actually like this more low-key, subtle approach? Share your thoughts in the comments.